All right, Chris, how are you?
I'm alright, what are you doing here?
I am just serving some lovely tacos. What would you like?
Whatever you'd recommend, mate.
I recommend the tacos, and I'll get them for you now.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Chris. Why don't we go and grab a seat together?
Alright.
Let's do it. Hi, Chris. Well, thanks for joining me for lunch today. It's been a long time since we've seen each other.
Too long, how's it been?
Very good, actually. Very good. So how did you get on in Vegas? Good trip?
I mean, with the casino, came out a bit ahead. But no, the trip was wonderful, obviously.
Yeah.
We've missed travelling and meeting our customers and partners, so it was a bit of a victory lap for us. We've had a good couple of years.
Yeah, you have, exactly. I thought that was one of the things that I noticed at Team 22 in Vegas was the maturity of all the community.
Bit too mature, if you ask me.
Do you think? Yeah.
Well, I think we were in Vegas for the first outing in years.
Yeah.
But everyone was wearing grey hoodies, except my team.
Yeah,
Your
team were definitely in the nice jazzy shirts. Yeah, but
yeah,
I think so. In terms of your company, that's been a great few years. I've seen that across the ecosystem as well. That idea of, I think, lockdown allowed us all to focus on our businesses, get ourselves ready, because we've always been very blessed in the Atlassian ecosystem by having a lot of enterprise customers, but then the partnership, a lot of small businesses, really, wasn't it? And I think what came out of lockdown was just these finely tuned organisations across the ecosystems. That was nice to see.
Yeah, and it really is important having those partnerships, like meeting face to face.
It just is. Yeah, we've seen that in the UK this year, that events seem to be back. Particularly, I think people have got an appetite to go meet people again. Because you can sit in a room for 2 years thinking about, what do we do? But sometimes you need to go out and meet humans and see what they were thinking.
Something I wanted to pick your brains about is how you drive adoption with new teams. Because obviously we've been in Atlassian space for a long time, right? But when an organisation's new to it, or perhaps one department's using Jira and Confluence, but the others aren't. So how do you cross that chasm? How do you get more buy-in from different departments and different teams?
Yeah, I did a bit of a LinkedIn thing about this the other day, actually, and I think it's all about demystifying it. Definitely one of the areas. I think for leaders or anyone watching today, have you got teams or departments or colleagues or projects, some type of niche audience within your company where there is a problem to solve? And is there an appetite to solve that problem?
Yeah.
How do you get those evangelists who put their hand up and say, I think there's a problem here and we need to solve it? So that's definitely one of the areas that we focus on.
Yeah, something I've noticed is, you will get that evangelist, but they're often from a tech background. Yeah. And in order to get the non-technical teams on, that's often not enough, right? Because, techie people, they'll find a workaround, they'll hack a code, they'll make it work somehow, right? They'll jerry-rig their own system. But to make it really foolproof, I find a couple of things work quite nicely. Make it as easy as possible. Yeah, right. Like to get people started. Yeah, you can't really have it so it's just too complex, or just a copy. What works for the IT team doesn't necessarily work for the marketing team, right?
And I think maybe that aligns quite nicely to this idea of Confluence being quite the hotbed or centre of that simplicity, and then Jira being almost like the engine or the powerful bit behind it. Because I think a lot of people, these certainly business teams, non-IT teams coming into the ecosystem they'll look at Jira and they go, I'm just not sure. Whereas I think if you flip it on the head and start with Confluence, I think suddenly that makes sense, doesn't it?
And Confluence is a great starting point, and it's pretty intuitive. Anyone can get to go through the basics of Confluence. The other thing I like with Confluence is it's very good for sharing with other departments. Yeah. Right? So you can have that page that just lets everyone know, highlights, and you can even have a rotating homepage with news from different departments. So those evangelists that are using it, like a news feed on social media, are sharing it with the other departments, and so they're immediately seeing value. And that is the foot in the door, if you like, because once you start seeing how many Jira tickets were closed or reports on everything that was done in Jira, people get a bit curious because, as you know, friends don't let friends manage projects in Confluence, right? No. Like, it's a good place to write some documentation and some longer form stuff. Yeah. But once you start the heavier lifting of managing projects, you're going to need Jira as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you keep a simple workflow, have a few evangelists, and you can't start with best practice day one. I think organizations sometimes do training too early, because the first thing they need is just keep it simple.
Yeah.
What is the minimal viable product we have people collaborating with Confluence?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you say, that step into Confluence, if you're using any of the Microsoft tools like, Word or anything, suddenly you'll land on a Confluence page and go, oh, it's a WYSIWYG editor, I can write things, I can link things, this feels sensible.
I think something Clearvision does, I'm aware of, you guys are focused on the no-code, low-code area. I think that's really crucial, because too often technical teams dealing with technical consultants end up with a very technical solution, and that's not going to work for everyone.
No.
So we make apps that are really about having a simple UX that's easy for everyone to use, and we find that's crucial to getting buy-in, because anytime the answer is go on a 2-day training course and read documentation and learn how to code, and then you can make your pie chart, and that's not going to work, and you're not onto a winner.
No. And how have you found then, like you say, if you start with a small business team, how do you show that off? Talk about maybe one of the apps that allows teams to show off the work they're doing without...
Well, so this is a big one, because obviously, no one starts day one with everyone working in the same tool, right? Especially people that are newer to the Atlassian ecosystem, or maybe just the support team uses it, for example. Growth is really important. And so we make something called External Share, which lets you share a Jira ticket or a Jira board or a Confluence page with lots of different users. And we find that's key to driving adoption and getting value out of the Atlassian tools. Because you'll have teams still hanging on, right? They'll still be sharing stuff in SharePoint or Word docs or email chains, God forbid. And once you, rather than invite them into another system that they're not necessarily willing to do, if you can share that with certain people and just show what the teams are working on and the value, and so they can get a bit of FOMO, see what they're missing out on, right? We find that's enormously helpful in driving adoption. No,
I massively agree. I think if anyone is in this situation, I've used this phrase before, where you on a Tuesday evening, it's 11 o'clock and you're still filling in that Excel spreadsheet for the big meeting on a Wednesday, you really fall into this category of a business user who has a problem to solve and probably a very big appetite to solve it. And like the example you were saying is, you're working in the tool, you haven't spent thousands of dollars or anything, you work in the tool, and when you're going to your meeting with your managers, you're sharing that information. So Chris, so thinking about business teams specifically, I'm really, really into the idea of removing particularly email and Excel. It's been my little mantra for, nearly 10 years now. I've talked before about, I love the analogy of putting a service desk, whatever brand it is, outside your remote front door, a bit like a bodyguard. Send me a ticket and I'll prioritise. Great way of teaching people about work. But that's all well and good, and maybe you've done that. Maybe you have introduced a service desk and people are submitting tickets to you. Talk to me a little bit about how someone who's made that first step can then, maybe do some analysis on those tickets, start to show other teams, look, honestly, this actually works. What sort of technology is around to do that?
Before we get into that,
okay,
you made an interesting point about the bodyguard. And all these things to get people on, you need carrots and sticks, right? Like disincentives and incentives, rewards and punishments. And I think, sure, like firewalling it off and saying you can't get anything from this team unless you make a service ticket is the stick, right? But you do need to tempt people there and show them the better way. And so I think I've seen teams adopt team by team by team. They fall like dominoes once you show the value and the time savings and the improvement. And no one loves using email and Excel.
No,
but they're stuck doing it because they don't know there's a better way.
Yes, I agree with that.
So I think not only do you have to, as you say, the bodyguard, but you need to also tempt people to this new greener pasture. And I do think the reporting's one of the key things. So the main problem with email is there's no metrics, there's no visibility, right? But the joy of all these tools is that it's very easy to run a report and show how many tickets the team closed, what was the SLA, how long it took them to do their job, and what the customer satisfaction scores were. And there's certain tools where you can actually share that with the customers, make it customer facing. So you can even show to people, thanks for your inquiry. We typically deal with an inquiry like this in this time, and here's the average customer satisfaction. So I think if you want to encourage people to be more visible and transparent in their communications, show the benefits, be the change you want to see in the world.
Right. And do you think not only show internally, oh look, I've installed a service desk in my legal team, look at all the tickets we've answered, you're saying there's another layer to that, or another set of people you'd share that data with?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with data, it's always the problem of trash in, trash out. And the best way to get people producing good data for themselves to learn from as an organisation and improve, but also customer facing, is to have that visibility of data. If everyone can see, every support agent can see how many tickets the team has closed this week, how many tickets they've closed, how many are in their backlog, how quickly they can be done, and what's the average expectation of them. They're getting that fast feedback that we all need in order to prove and improve. And likewise for customers, I think it's really good. It's just extending that visibility. So first you're doing it within a team, then you're getting it between teams in an organisation, and just a natural extension. Once you have all these tools that enable visibility, transparent communication, why not spread that circle wider and have your customers as part of that? And what we found as a app making company, some of our best ideas have come from our customers. So when we're sharing with them, here's a ticket you can raise, make that as easy as possible, quick response, and show in reports and charts that we listen and we care about that feedback. We get more and more of it, and it really helps us improve. Yeah,
because this idea of people sometimes a little bit scared to share things, aren't they? It's like, we don't want to tell them it took us 2 hours to answer a ticket when it should have been 1. When in fact, when normal people are doing business, it's all about the communication. What's the most frustrating experience you have? It's when you don't hear anything. Even if you say it's going to be 2 hours, you go, okay, well, at least I know.
Well, if you don't know, you assume the worst.
Exactly. As we've talked
They're
about.
hiding something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's better to be transparent. And look, if your average response time is 4 days, it's better to know that and highlight it, and then resource accordingly. Or you decide, well, it's just not that important to us then. Okay, 4 days.
Yeah, 4 days it is.
I guess is the answer.
So what have you found on the marketplace then to help deliver on what you described? Because it sounds great and it certainly sounds logical. Are customers just going, actually, I'm building all my reports in Jira and Confluence natively, or is there better options?
There's lots of options. I think for Service Desk, one thing I'd really recommend is our own app, in my unbiased opinion. Custom Charts for Jira lets you share reporting that comes from your Jira data, and you can share that with JSM agents, or you can share that in Confluence pages and even make it customer facing. So if you're looking to share data, reports and charts with any groups, and I mean, look, we've realized that external doesn't necessarily just mean customers. Very often even a big enterprise customer has multiple instances of Jira that aren't necessarily in sync, so it can be helpful sharing between departments, or if one country's solved a problem in a particular way, it's great if you can then share that with another company, and both can benefit from that learning.
Right, the Tortilla Challenge, let me explain what it is. We're going to be asked some questions off camera. It's going to be the first to answer them correctly using the A and B logos here. If you answer it first and correctly, you then get to slap me in the face with a tortilla. Now what makes it even more amusing is our mouths will be filled with water.
So we'll finally stop talking.
So we will stop talking, and we may be covered in water.
Okay.
Which may show up your jazzy shirts. Right then, so let's do it. So hold your tortilla. You can do whatever you wish with your tortilla. You may wish to fold your tortilla.
How many times am I allowed to fold it?
Just the once, because I don't trust a 6'5" man slapping me in the face as it is.
Right.
Okay, right, I'm going to hold this. So now let's pour some water, and we'll then get to fill it up. And I want a proper mouthful.
I've got a big mouth.
I know, yeah. All right.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Paul was quickest. Paul was quickest again. Let's spit out.
That was worth it just for that.
This one's on me. Don't hit me in the neck.
So when I heard about this challenge initially, I thought it was called the Tequila Challenge.
That would have
That
been
this was
more
tequila.
dangerous.
that people had tequila in their mouths.
That would have been a quick
So
challenge.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris is correct. Paul wins. Chris, you're right.
The laughing is worse than the slapping for holding this in. I nearly got your glasses on.
My glasses are...
We're gonna have a video.
Who came up with this challenge? What is this?
It's an internet thing.
It's the kids on
the
TikTok,
crazy
isn't
It
it?
is the kids on
Definitely the
TikTok.
kids on TikTok.
Those bloody kids.
Right, we've only
How many more questions? Because my face can't.
we've got 1, 2, 3,
at my
4
ear.
more.
We're nearly at 4. Oh, my cheeks are
I'm stinking.
Paul, you're quickest there. Chris, right and quickest. Paul, you're quickest and correct.
I'm trying to get your big head instead of your neck.
Chris, you win our final round.
There we go. That's a fair finish. Thank you for not slapping me again.
That was brutal.
That really hurt. Thank you, Chris. Great to see you as always. And
Strange
obviously-
as always.
Isn't it? And always strange. I think the last time we saw each other it was about 3 AM in a casino in Vegas.
And this was somehow weirder.
It was definitely weirder. Thank you very much. Look after yourself.